Located just northwest of Montgomery, Jasper, Alabama is a small coal mining town with a strong work ethic. A town steeped in history and proud of its Civil War heritage. Jasper is also home to Billy Basenberg, a dedicated husband and father, known by many for his giving spirit.
I was listening to Dale Summers, and they announced the contest back on the road, and I thought it'd be a good idea to enter Billy, and I thought he would be a good candidate for it.
My mother called me and told me about it. I didn't know nothing about it. She asked me if I'd be willing to, told me about the website and all, and I went on, I looked, and I just started writing, and I was just going to write a couple lines, and it turned into, it just started flowing, from the heart.
Jason had an opportunity to play football for anybody he wanted. 9/11 happened, and he felt a responsibility to serve his country. But me in the military is one thing, but then when you see your babies, young men, go into it, you think about it a little different. But I was very proud of the fact that they decided to go in. But my son Jason was one heck of an athlete, and I knew what he was getting into, and he was at the age where he didn't know what he was getting into. Iraq, Afghanistan, I knew what he was going to be facing. But he made his choice. It was his decision. I'm proud of him for making that decision and to serve honorably as he did.
I got medically retired in April of '09, and they sent me home. I couldn't run anymore. So I got a little limp now, but it's nothing I can't handle.
Wow, he wasn't the same young man when he came home. I knew things was different. After his incident, he had the post-traumatic stress syndrome. He has depression. He deals with it every day. As a matter of fact, the essay he wrote for Back on the Road, I knew nothing about that. He hasn't expressed those words to me. When I read that, like I said, I will put that in a frame. I will have that forever. He just doesn't open up like that. So this whole process has almost been therapeutic. I believe he feels something he has a positive hand in. It does his spirit good to see that.
Billy's always gave. He's never had anything for himself. And I've worked, I've tried to help, but he's always the one sacrificing. And it just breaks my heart.
My wife was in an accident. The truck ran the red light, crashed into the car in front of her, pushed it into Tammy. And that chain of events left to surgery after surgery. She has such an ugly scar on her back. She has metal rods and cages in her back.
I do know that Billy, I would see his truck out there, and he would have to spend days looking after his wife. And and I would think, oh my goodness, he needs to be on the road, but he put her first. I mean, many circumstances where he had to be home and to be with her and to care for her. But he always seemed to have a positive attitude.
Me and my brother Rick has always been close. I guess for one reason, he was the eldest and I was the baby boy. So he was my protector. He always looked out for me. But he was stricken with diabetes as a pretty young man. He lost his foot, and then it set up gangrene, and eventually just kept going up, and the other foot, and then it eventually came up to his legs, and they took him way off. Well, it was just a horrible thing to see him go through.
He did have a very close relationship with his brother Rick, and with his condition, it was really hard for Billy to see his brother like that. And, with him having to be on the road, he wasn't able to be around him as much as he wanted to be. But I know it was really rough when his brother passed away.
He was very independent. He didn't want nothing from nobody, no way, no how. The only thing that would get in his way if he was out of chewing tobacco. I mean, he was going to get his tobacco. I do not care what the weather was. If he had a transportation to get it, he's going to get it. And he was wheeling down the highway, the main highway. Blue lights, and pulls over Rick, and he walked up to him and he says, "Mr. Basenberg, what are you doing out here on the highway?" He just told him, he said, "Well, I'm out of chewing tobacco, officer." He said, "Well, you can't be out here in this highway." My brother looked at him and he said, he pointed to us, down here with no legs, and said, "Well, what do you expect me to do, walk to the store?" And the officer, you can see his, way Rick says, his brain was smoking, and looked at him and said, "Mr. Basenberg, you be careful and have a nice day." And I often joke that he is the only person ever in the small town of Carbon Hill, Alabama, to get pulled over by the policeman in a wheelchair.
All these last couple of years especially, and especially the last couple of months, they've had such hard times financially. I help when I can, but I can only do so much.
But due to all the time off, we started falling behind on everything. So I lost my truck. Our home now, we're in jeopardy of losing this house. Me and my wife may just live in a truck for a while until we can get back on. It's just been a hard road. It's been a real hard road. We're trying to recover, take it day by day. And this event with the arrow has given us some hope. As I explained about my brother and what he went through there after he passed, I'm not a poet by no means. I just had some thoughts that I happened to write down, and I thought I would share it. This is a story about my brother Rick, about beating the odds even though he was sick. We had no money and times were rough, but he was there for me and made me tough. You see, my brother lived most of his life very, very ill. The only relief came in the form of a pill. He lost one leg, then the other leg, but he was never one to beg. I'm sure on a scale of 1 to 10 at times, he thought he was a 0, but to those who knew and loved him, he was our hero. He was loving and kind. He was loving and kind, a better man you could not find. Rick knew for what he had there was no cure, and he knew as he lied in that bed that he could no longer endure. So did he give up? No, he prayed and prayed until his soul was pure. So you see, that day when my brother would die, his soul did leave him for that journey toward the sky. Now he has new legs, suffers no pain. He walks streets of gold in a land without rain. So to my brother Rick, I would like to say, I'm proud of you, and I will see you one day.